I'll make a start then. So thank you for joining us on today's webinar. We're currently situated in the meeting room of the new IWS Group virtual warehouse. We developed this environment to showcase our full range of industrial workplace safety products in a convenient and realistic modern space. Just to give you a quick overview of the IWS Group before we begin, we are a growing group of market-leading product brands, manufacturers and service companies providing essential services and supplies to the logistics, materials handling and industrial sectors across Europe and beyond. As a group, we're comprised of three companies: Beaverswood, the Rack Group and Brandsafe. And between us, we're able to provide you with a full suite of safety solutions and services for industrial environments, such as the example building shown here. We're going to start today's tour by moving into the main warehouse area.
Thanks, Paul. So yeah, I'll move us into the warehouse now. Just let that load. So yeah, for Brandsafe, we specialise in impact protection solutions and systems. And yeah, for warehouses such as this one that you can see in front of you. So what we do is we design solutions to protect people, buildings and assets from impact damage. And probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is where there's people moving around the area, you have clear, safe, designated pedestrian routes marked out. So you can see here, if I just move the camera around, you'd come in through the reception area of this virtual building here. You can see pedestrian route here with floor markings and signage, moving right to the other side of the building, where the other side with pedestrian barriers and safety gate again. So I'll click into this particular product here. So to bear with while the model loads up. So this is a new system of ours. It's a highly durable polymer system. So we do steel safety barriers and polymer safety barriers. This is a polymer system, which means it flexes and deflects on impacts, and then will go back to its original shape. It's available in a range of highly visible colours, and as you can see as well, available with these safety gates to stop people moving into unsafe areas at the wrong time. And again, with its polymer construction, you can use it in temperatures as low as -40 degrees C, so perhaps a food environment, for example. And as we move through, looking at products that can also protect the building themselves, this structural column protector here is one of our key ranges. And we've designed this to fit multiple different types and sizes of columns. Again, it's in a highly visible colorway and design, and the way they go together as the model loads up here is a kind of clamshell design, which is then fixed together with these ratchet straps. I'll just spin the model so you can see them here. And then on the inside, we have impact absorbing cores here as well. So when they're struck by, say, a forklift, it will take that impact, bounce it off, and there'll be very little of any damage to the vehicle, and again, no damage to the structural column that's protecting. Move through to section 2, Paul. Take us through the racking.
Thank you, Mike. So in the warehouse, most warehouses, pallet racking plays a key part in the setup. It's a very expensive asset, especially if it's not properly protected and organised. Here at Brandsafe, we're specialists in impact protection, so we're able to offer you products that allow these warehouses to operate as safely and efficiently as possible. As a matter of best practice, we'd always recommend the use of weight load notices, as well as bay and aisle markers, and that these are fitted to all of the pallet racking installations throughout your warehouse. In terms of actually protecting the pallet racking areas themselves from impact damage, there's a number of solutions that we can provide. And one of the main types of products in this range is the end of aisle barrier. Again, going back to what's in, that's available in either a single or double bumper configuration. So you've got difference in heights and obviously different in lengths to suit. So Mike's clicked through to the end of aisle barrier, which again, waiting for the model to load. So it's made out of high durable plastic for long lasting protection. Again, it was touched on earlier, it can be used in temperatures of low down as -40, which is ideal for chilled and frozen units. As I touched on earlier, it's available in a variety of sizes to suit single or double rails, and we can also do it in a different range of colours as well, which might suit different applications for your customers. So that's the end of racking barriers there.
Thanks, Paul. We'll just move further into the warehouse. Yeah, so as Paul's touched on, it's important to consider impact protection for all these racking installations here, because it's more cost effective to protect them ahead of time than obviously replacing and fixing down the line when they've taken damaging impacts. So as part of the group, with our strategic partnership with the Rack Group, we can offer racking inspections and maintenance as well, to ultimately save money for the end client down the line. And then another important part of racking warehouse organization is having kind of clear and efficient storage. So our sister company, Booz, has developed the Racksack to deal with bulky waste and the segregation of these items. So if I just click onto this here.
It's quite a big model, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, again, bear with me while it loads up. But, end of aisles of racking that be fitted on trolleys. There's many different applications for this product, and it ultimately helps, as I said, segregation of waste, basically getting bulky items out of the way and allowing for clear and efficient and safe storage in these racking areas. They come standard in blue, which is what the model is when that actually loads up, or you can have a clear front to see what's inside the Racksack itself. And these can also be custom logoed and branded, depending on what your needs are for your warehouse.
Hopefully it'll load.
Hopefully we can show you, but you can see it in the environment. There we go. So this is a standard general waste. In the vertical environment, different options, whether it's general waste or recycling, just really depending on what you're storing in these particular areas. And then just to kind of back that up, you can also use floor signage here, these half circle markers to, again, if you've got clear Racksacks, you can then show what's meant to go into these. It's just easy identifiers for people working in the warehouse itself.
Mike, so now into section 4 of the warehouse. So continuing with the theme of pallet racking protection and efficient storage methods, you'll be able to see a number of products right in front of you here, which range from ticket holders and code labeling for easy product identification. And you can also see some protection reinforcement sections for the racking uprights. These are complemented from both the partner companies, which are Beaverswood and the Rack Group again. Lower racking upright sections are probably the most vulnerable part of racking within the warehouse because of the movements of pallets on and off the ground floor. And they're also the most susceptible to impact damage, which is why we always recommend equipping them with some form of impact protection system. The most globally adopted and recognised as compatible with almost any type of pallet racking on the market. So here you can actually see the rack armour when it loads up. My background myself was 10 to 12 years spent in pallet racking, and the rack armour itself is very tough plastic, high density polyethylene. Again, it's bright yellow generally, but it's available in lots of different colours. The outside is made to fit this to the pallet racking. It's a case of lining it up on the upright and just clipping it on. They've also developed a new tool which allows you to actually use it as a hook to pull it onto the frame as well. But it's a very good system there. It's nice and tight. The frame doesn't encroach into the aisleway, which is particularly useful in narrow aisle setups as well. But yeah, it's a great product. And like I said, it's available in all different types of colours, very, very fast to fit. And it's high visibility as well, which just creates a little bit of an extra safety element.
Thanks, Paul. So yeah, moving on to the next few sections. So sections 5, 6, and 7 of this warehouse, they're really full of products that aren't Brandsafe's core speciality. But with our, like I say, partnerships with Beaverswood and the Rack Group, we can provide this full suite of product solutions for the warehouse. So if I move through here, you'll see floor rail bumpers from the Rack Group, which again is ideal low-level protection for racking, especially with pallet trucks or forklifts moving around. It just stops those kind of annoying little bumps into racking, which can obviously add up and accumulate damage over time. And then these racking pit bins here, again, another great solution for kind of clear, easy storage in these racking installations. And then just touch on briefly these rear leg guards. So these are available in 2 different options. One's proactive, one's reactive. So obviously we'd recommend being proactive, getting ahead of the problem and having something installed that protects these rear legs of racking from damaging impacts rather than fitting the reactive solution when there's already damage occurred. But obviously we can cover both eventualities with this product. Let's move on to section 8.
Thank you, Mike. So that's just into section 8, the warehouse. So back on the subject of impact protection and in particular safety barrier systems, here are some product solutions that can be used effectively for the protection of assets and the structure of the building itself, as well as the people moving around them. What you can see here is a low-level bumper barrier, and it's a system of perimeter protection for the industrial buildings. Again, this one's made out of polymer, and it allows it to deflect slightly as needed under impact from forklift trucks as well. So this should just load a 3D model again in a second. We can talk through some of the highlights. Again, with it being made from polymer, it can be used in operations as low as -40. We can make it pretty much in any length to suit whatever run you want. And it's also available in single or double height, depending on what's going to move around the area. As mentioned before, it will flex slightly on impact, but it will return to its normal shape. And with the colours, again, I'm pretty sure we can specify this in different colours to suit, but the standard is pretty much the high visibility yellow. So I'm going to move on to the MHE pit guardrail that you can see in this charging area. So the MHE and pit guardrail is a very heavy duty, versatile product that can be used in a number of different applications and configurations. Shown in the virtual environment here is how the guardrail solution can be used to protect key valuable assets within the warehouse. It can also be used to effectively create safe pedestrian walkways in areas with particularly high levels of forklift truck traffic. So if we look here, Mike's going to click us through some of the key features of the product here. It's actually mounted on impact safe shock absorbing buffers, which will help to actually protect the floor surfaces from damage, because on impact it just dissipates some of the actual load coming through the barrier itself. There's also a destacker function to allow you to make these barriers higher, and we do see that in quite a lot of our client sites where they want this to act as a function when pallets perhaps double stacked to create safety in that circumstance as well. Standard colours are yellow, but again, we can do custom colours on request, and that's pretty much it for the guardrail. So that's moving on to section 9 now.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So yeah, as Paul was saying, we can supply low-level barriers for perimeter protection, whether that was the polymer as another option for this. So this is for low-level impacts, so that's forklift 360 mil in height. And then we can also supply on the model here, which again just aids in that protection against those kind of impacts. And then this particular model, I'll just move it around, comes with pedestrian safety ends. So at Brandsafe, we can offer a range of Armco barrier accessories and the ends that you'll see later on. Basically different types of accessory and safety ends to suit the application, and we can always obviously advise you on those. Then moving away from barriers for the moment in time, we also offer a range of bollards, which we recommend to protect vulnerable doorways and access points. So you can see this polymer protection bollard here at the doorway, and also and we suggest using different types of bollards depending on probably our medium duty bollard in the range. We'll show you a drop core bollard later on. Combination of impact protection, visibility, and like Paul was saying before, with the guardrail system, it comes with impact safe buffers here to prevent damage to the floor surfaces. So cost effective to fit in the long run. And it's flush fitment, so there's no trip hazard or anything or dirt collecting underneath the bollard fixings down the bottom here. Show you how we can install for you. It basically, it's a polymer cover that slides over a steel core, and then yeah, it's good to go to protect these doorways, like we say. Just bring you around to the next section.
Thank you. So in this corner of the warehouse, you can see an example of both doorway and pedestrian protection. Polymer pedestrian barrier is from the same range as the example we looked at in the first section of the warehouse, except on this time you'll see a bumper has been added for low-level protection from fork impacts. Additional bumpers and rails can also be added to the system as and when required. We'll just wait for this model to load up, but this is going to be the pedestrian bumper barrier. So again, the key highlights of this product, with it being polymer, are its flexibility. It will obviously return to its normal shape after impact. Good range of colours available. It's good down to -40. And again, nice and bright and bold colours, so it's high visibility, which is great. So that's the key features and benefits of that. The beauty of it, again, going back to the Armco 360, we've got different barriers for your needs. This is slightly more expensive, but it's higher visibility, and it does deflect and return to its original shape, which the 360 Armco doesn't. So key different benefits of both products. Right, so just going on to here, to section 11 next. Thank you, Mike. You might have, just trying to see where we are, just bear with 2 seconds. Yeah, so there we are. So yeah, section 11 here. Again, some of the products in here, they're predominantly from the Beaverswood range. So you're talking about labels and indicators, just good warehouse management systems essentially there. And then in the top centre, you'll see rack training courses that are provided by a sister company, the Rack Group. And again, that's the importance of in-house methods of looking at how to obviously inspect your own racking and set up a good system so that you're on top of your internal inspections and potentially external inspections as well if needs be. You might have spotted a mezzanine area earlier on our tour. So our impact protection products are not just limited to the ground level. So we'll head over to the mezzanine area now and take a quick look.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'll just head upstairs on the mezzanine here. So yeah, it's just as important on a mezzanine as it is on the ground floor to have safe and efficient storage spaces. So you'll see a number of these are products that we've seen going through the warehouse. That's a weight load notice or labeling, just for really, yeah, like I say, safe, efficient storage and messaging on these rack. Impact safe protection posts. Now this is probably, yeah, maybe a more cost-effective alternative. There isn't a high level of bulky traffic moving around. So on this mezzanine floor, there won't be any forklift trucks. It'll just be hand-operated pallet movers. So we don't need that extra level of impact protection. So we'll always advise on the best product for each situation. So you can see here it's available in 3 different heights, again, depending what's required. It doesn't need to be repainted, value and cost effectiveness. And again, you've got the rubber impact safe buffer that we like to use as much as possible to avoid floor damage and absorb shock from impacts. And then just spinning around behind us. On the edge of the mezzanine, you'll see pedestrian handrails. So this is a really kind of a modular key clamp handrail for all of this, due to the modular nature of it. So while we've used this here on a mezzanine floor, it could easily be used at a ground. So yeah, we'll jump down to the ground floor, not literally, but we'll move down to the low level of the mezzanine now for Paul to run us through that.
Thank you, Mike. So moving down underneath the mezzanine floor, we can see at the top, well, relatively to the top, some damage. Essentially, clatter bars provide a clear and obvious height warning for vehicles operating in the area. What you'll see on mezzanine floors, quite often with forklift trucks travelling underneath them, if the mast is set up too high, the mast can impact with the floor itself. More often than not, there's lots of services underneath the floor, gas pipes, water pipes. These clatter bars do offer a very, very cheap early warning system for vehicles operating in the area. So that's essentially the highlights of these. What we can also see near the doorway is some impact safe bollards being used to protect the emergency exits on the ground floor. As mentioned earlier, that extra level of impact protection compared to the impact safe protection posts used on the upper floor is required due to the fact that there's going to be forklifts operating underneath the mezzanine itself. So moving towards the external door arrangement, we generally recommend the use of our modular goalpost system here, which provides the required impact protection for vulnerable doorways. Again, doorways are incredibly expensive when you compare them to a goalpost that can offer an early warning before someone actually hits them. So just clicking on the goalpost while it loads and the clatter bars, I'll be able to talk you through some of the product highlights, including the variation. Can just be used on their own, or there's not something to hang them from or support them from, or perhaps on a doorway, you might want to put it as part of different height chains and different heights and widths of bars. So pretty much any configuration can be made up. Again, it's in high visibility yellow, but I'm pretty sure we can do that in different colours if it needs be. And they are floor fixed as well, so they're quite fast and easy to install. As with all of our products, we can supply these again on a supply only or a supply and installation basis as well. So that's essentially how it works there, whether you use it as a goalpost or as a clatter bar. So I think we're going to click through to the loading bay area now. So that's onto you, Mike.
That's right, yeah, thanks, Paul. So we'll move outside of the warehouse now. And we will see in front of us, this is really a kind of typical loading bay protection layout. So basically try to cover all the bases here. So you'll see HGV landing plates and wheel guides, an Armco barrier with pedestrian handrail and also drop cord bollards. These drop cord bollards can be used either to protect the access ramps here or also to protect the external door from HGV impacts. But moving on to the floor surfaces, the landing plates here, I'm just clicking this now. This is a really good cost-effective polymer solution. So it's just a square or rectangular plate, which will fix into the floor with these countersunk fixings that you can see here, so there's no trip hazard. And this really just avoids long-term wear and tear of the floor surfaces here from the landing plates, or the landing legs, sorry, the HGV. So I'd recommend installing those every time, just to avoid that long-term maintenance cost down the line. And then with the wheel guides, again, it just guides, that's what the name suggests, it guides the vehicle nicely into the loading bay, avoids any, I guess, errors and unnecessary impacts on the building itself. And then, as mentioned previously, the drop cord bollard, it's our heaviest duty bollard system. So it's actually, as the name suggests, dropped into the floor. So the steel core is dropped into a hole in the floor that will drill out, and then that just provides that extra level of impact resistance as versus an impact safe bollard or protection post, for example. So yeah, they're really easy to lift out and move around and replace as needed, and it's got the same polymer cover kit, which is hard wearing, doesn't need repainting, and it's really easy to spot for vehicle drivers in the area. And then just finally to round off that, the Armco barrier. This is one of many Armco solutions that we can offer, to be honest. This particular one, as again the name suggests, is 760 mil high, and it comes with a 1100 mil pedestrian handrails. It's the same handrail system that we just looked at on the mezzanine. And then we've equipped this one here with fishtail safety ends because they're particularly visible and useful for deflecting impacts of larger vehicles, whether that's a HGV or HLGV. And then lastly, in the loading bay, we'll spin around to the speed bumps, as you can see here. So this will be a commercial speed bump, which will be 75 mil in height. But we also offer a domestic vehicle speed bump, which is 50 mil in height. And again, it comes in a range of lengths depending on what you need in your particular application. It will reduce vehicles to a safe operating speed of around 10 miles an hour. And again, this is a typical layout with alternating yellow and black sections just for that extra bit of visibility on site.
To car park.
Let's move to the car park now.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So here, if you look to the left slightly, we'll see the importance of creating a safe pedestrian route from the warehouse off and right the way through the car park. So we've got various products here that help us do it, but essentially the first kind of product we see here is the pedestrian barriers with the safety gate. The importance of the safety gate predominantly is to slow people down and to basically stop at that point. Open the gate, have a look around and make sure there's nothing coming. So we like to put gates in these areas, slows people down and creates an awareness of a high traffic route more often than not. You can also see sort of to the right of the picture some flex delineators. Now, I'll talk you through the product highlights on these shortly. These are also a very useful product that we see a lot of in the car park area. Essentially, the delineators are available. They're made in plastic, so that they move their original shape. They're available in a different variety of colours as well. What we also see quite often in the car parks that we deal with in the gallery, if Mike clicks through there, is we use them laid out to set out walkways and to also have sometimes chains between them to separate parking areas or areas between where pedestrians can be and where the movement of vehicles are. As you can see in this picture here, it's been hit by a forklift truck. As soon as that rolls back up, it will literally spring back to its original state. So quite a useful product in sort of setting out areas where you want people and vehicles to be separate, but without the use of a very high impact resistant barrier. So I think that's the car park one.
And we'll just move into the second area of the car park. So what we'll see here is something that we've seen a major rise in interest in. That's EV charging point protection. So obviously there's a number of government initiatives at the moment to grow electric vehicles and obviously the charging point infrastructure around the UK and beyond. So as a result, we developed a range of products that will protect these effectively without obviously costing the earth, and obviously you want to protect this valuable asset from impact damage. So obviously you see the impact safe posts that we've looked at before, so we'll look at those again, but we use these for the majority of our EV protection solutions. But if something heavier is needed, perhaps an impact safe bollard could be used. It obviously depends on your particular requirements. And then we also recommend using a wheel stop. I'll just let this load up. As with the speed bumps, these come in either commercial or domestic spec, depending on the type of vehicles being used in the area. Manufactured from PVC, so really robust protection from impacts, and again, highly visible. We can have different colors, yellow, black, red. Again, whether that's to match a particular color scheme or just for additional visibility, that's entirely up to you. And then we'll supply these with fixings for installation into concrete or tarmac substrates. So this particular one you'll see here will be a domestic wheel stop, but again, if you're using a heavy goods vehicle, we'd recommend the commercial one in that instance. And then with EV charging, a key piece of legislation and something to bear in mind is that if there's a lamppost within a 2.5 meter diameter of an EV charging point, it will need to be protected and insulated in some way. And for this, a lamppost wrap is an ideal solution. So again, this is a polymer system, and like the polywrap column protection, it's a clamshell design, a two-piece that just basically snaps on around the lamppost or signpost, depending what you're protecting. And these reflectors here give that extra level of visibility, especially in lower light conditions. And yeah, it's suitable, as you can see here, from a range of signpost diameters from 50 mil up to 220 mils. There's a lot of versatility there, and it can also be double stacked. So this is 1250 mil high. It can be double stacked to provide a 2.5 meter high solution as well, if that's required. And you also see our sister company Beeswood here offers EV stencil kits. So that's a good way to clearly identify parking bays for electric vehicles. You can also have flexi delineators. You can have signage on top of that as a way of denoting that as well, or even same again for disabled parking bays as well. I believe that covers the car park.
Yeah, that's just, we head back to the reception. So essentially, we'd just like to thank you for taking your time today to join us in the virtual warehouse. What we plan to do going forward is use this as a tool to help people better understand how to improve warehouse safety, and also how to properly specify our products as effectively as possible in the workplace. We're going to try and deliver these sessions every 4 to 6 weeks throughout the year. And shortly, if you keep your eyes peeled, we're going to run a poll on our LinkedIn page to ask people what they'd like to see, if there's any particular products you need more information on, and also what kind of times of session will be most useful for people as well.